Thank you, Chair. Stephen, you said earlier that you're going to press ahead with the bill next week. At the moment, you don't have a majority to get it through the House of Commons unless the Conservatives support the bill. Would you like us to, and will you press ahead if you can only do it with Conservatives?
I'd be delighted to have support from across the entire House for the excellent proposals that we're bringing forward, and I'm looking forward to the debate on Tuesday.
Good. Okay. Well, to get our support, we'd need to have confidence that we're going to see genuine reductions long-term in the overall spending on welfare, which we don't believe will happen under the current proposals on their own, and to see genuine support on the labour market side. At the moment, we're seeing jobs being destroyed through actions of the government to pass its unemployment bill, leaving aside the national insurance rises, which job centre workers that I've spoken to say is devastating the work they're trying to do to support people into employment. So on their own, it doesn't feel to me that this bill, which is not really a reform bill, it's just a cuts bill, it's not even going to achieve significant welfare savings. Can I ask you specifically, do you accept, and I'm basing this on evidence from Citizens Advice and the Resolution Foundation and others, that, I completely agree, by the way, with what you said earlier, which is that for many younger people, particularly those with mental health conditions, the best thing for them would be to be supported into employment, and I agree with you on that ambition. Nevertheless, the proposals in the bill will fall disproportionately, the cuts, the benefit reductions will fall disproportionately on older people and those with physical health conditions rather than on younger people with mental health conditions who will continue to be parked on benefits. Do you accept that that's the likely effect of the reforms, that it would be older people who would be more likely to lose their PIP?
No, I haven't seen an assessment along those lines. We will be offering employment support to everybody who loses their PIP, whatever their age, and we would like to see many more people in work. There are 2.8 million people at the moment out of work on health and disability grounds, economically inactive. 200,000 of them say they'd like to be in a job now and think they could be in a job if only they had the support to get into work. And we are determined to provide that support, and that will extend across the entire age range. We certainly want to support young people for the reasons that we've talked about and that you've recognised, but we want to support older people as well.
Well, the Resolution Foundation says that the likely impact of the PIP changes is that older claimants are more likely to be impacted than younger claimants, and they're also less amenable to the incentives, as it were, so it's harder for them to respond to a reduction in benefit income by seeking work or more work, whereas younger people are more likely, naturally enough, to respond to those incentives. So I am concerned that you're targeting older people who are less likely to respond in the way that we all want.
We'll be offering support to older people as well as younger.
Although that support isn't going to come in for another couple of years.
No, the support is being rolled out now. So the Connect to Work programme is being rolled out across the entire country, the whole of England and Wales, by the end of this year. And that next year is funded to support 100,000 people. So no, the support is coming into place now. It's building up.
It's starting. It's starting slowly. It's 100,000 people when we're talking about
a year by the end of the Parliament. But we're on track for.
Okay, but we're talking about millions of people currently parked on benefits, and you're only proposing to support 100,000, of whom not all would necessarily succeed in getting into employment.
No, that's not the case. It's 100,000 on Connect to Work, but there are lots of other things that are going on, inactivity trailblazers, and this growing programme that I've referred to, building up to an additional £1 billion a year by the end of the Parliament. So there's going to be a huge amount going on. The scale of this is unprecedented. This has never been done on this scale before. I remember the New Deal for disabled people, which was quite experimental when it started in 1998, but it steadily reduced the disability employment gap between 1998 and 2010, and then in 2010 it was all scrapped, and the disability employment gap has hardly shrunk at all since then. So we want to get back onto that trajectory of providing proper employment support to the very large number of people who at the moment are out of work on health and disability grounds. And needlessly, they could be in work.
Essentially, UC Health then, because as we've said, that is now essentially being merged with the PIP regime, and it's not clear to what extent this is now a disability benefit rather than an incapacity one. But we'll look forward to seeing the product of the assessment review. But the proposal is to cut in half the UC Health premium for new claimants. That still leaves a £50 a week roughly uplift in people's income if they manage to get onto the LCWRA cohort, which is less than £100 a week, but it's still 50% more than they'd be getting otherwise. You're suggesting that the increase in the standard allowance will somehow reduce demand for the UC Health component. I mean, that's a £5 a week uplift, whereas there's a £50 a week prize if you do get onto LCWRA. So do you really think that we're going to see a significant reduction in UC Health claims as a result of the reduction in the entitlement? I mean, especially as you've just acknowledged that overall it's unlikely that this will outstrip inflation anyway, so people are still going to be incentivised to seek the UC Health component. And so even if the spending reduces, the numbers of people in receipt of that surely will continue to rise unsustainably.
Well, first of all, I'm sure may be able to help me. The increase in the Universal Credit Standard Allowance by the end of the period we're talking about is somewhat higher, I think, than the figure that you...
Real terms, it'll be £5 a week, won't it?
Sean?
265 a year, so yeah, that'll be about £5.
Okay, all right.
In real terms.
Yeah. But I mean, the key thing is, we're reducing the incentive, but we're also providing support, and that's the key part of the jigsaw which has been absent in the past. There must be proper employment support. So it isn't just a question of reducing the level of the premium, but providing the support that people need.
Still no conditionality to seek that support or to take it.
Well, conditionality is an interesting topic, and I mean, if we're moving on to that, I'd be very interested to talk about it. I mean, I think the evidence is pretty clear that the best kind of employment support for people who have to work on health and disability grounds is voluntary support, where people have chosen to seek that support. But we do need to think more, I think, about conditionality in this area. And certainly it's my view that it's perfectly reasonable for the department to expect to at least have a conversation with people about their work aspirations and how they're setting about getting the support that they need. But the key target for us, I think, at this stage is those 200,000 people who want to be in a job today, who think they could be in a job today, to make sure they've got the support to.
I suggest we try and create jobs and well-paid jobs for them.
As we are doing.
And as I know you want to do, but you're going about it in a very perverse manner, in my view.
Let me just comment. I mean, employment is up, inactivity is down since the election. We want to keep on that trajectory. There's a long way to go, but we're on the right track.
Unemployment's up as well. It's a perverse set of contradictory stats that we can trade with each other. Let me just quickly finish, Chair, with the question.
I don't think they are contradictory. I think what's happening is that the inactive bit of the system, which is the reason that 2.8 million people at the moment are out of work on health and disability grounds, people are moving. People are moving into employment. People are moving into the active part of the system, and therefore being counted as unemployed. And there they are getting the help that they should have been getting, or starting to get the help they should have been getting years ago.
Let me just ask you again, following up my question to you in the Chamber yesterday about Motability. I understand you're not looking at the scheme. Why is that? There's been such an increase in expenditure on that scheme now. A lot of people getting vehicles. Only 5% of vehicles are adapted for physical disabilities. So a lot of people are getting vehicles who don't have physical need for transport. It's £3 billion a year, way larger than it used to be. Do you not think that this is an area that you should be looking at?
Well, I think the Motability scheme, the mobility component of PIP, has an important job to do. And we were talking earlier about people being able to get to work, and the mobility component is very important for many people with a health issue, disability, to enable them to stay in work. So,
you think the scheme's fine at the moment?
I have had concerns raised with me about some aspects of this, and I've no doubt at some point we will want to have a look at it. But it's not part of the proposals that we're bringing forward at the moment.
Thank you.